Hi, welcome to Brown Girl Book Lover. I am Leslie Ann Murray. It's National Poetry Month, and I'm really happy to present my interview with poet Keisha-Gaye Anderson. We talk about the writing life, growing up Caribbean in Brooklyn, and motherhood. Please join us. Hi, welcome to Brown Girl Book Lover. I'm here today with Keisha-Gaye Anderson talking about her book, Everything is Necessary. We are in her really lovely, beautiful house in Brooklyn, and we've been knowing each other for a long time. So I'm really excited I'm excited to interview her. Okay, so I'm just going to I'm gonna just do a quick bio of Keisha because her bio is great. So Keisha-Gaye Anderson is a Jamaican-born poet, creative writer, visual artist, and media professional. That's her visuals in the back, y'all. She's the author of the poetry collection Gathering the Water. Her writing has appeared in such publications as Quill Journal, Small Acts Salon, Music Literary Magazine, and we're going to talk about her second poetry collection?
Yes.
Her second poetry collection. And so we're just going to get started. I just want to talk about your first, not your first, but this poem that stood out for me in your book, Trapped. Do you mind reading an excerpt for it? And then we'll talk about it.
Sure. Let's see, what page is that?
On 51.
Okay. In my fourth decade of life, I now know I've been trapped by my mother's fear. And can you blame her for building a fortress around us? Locked in the foul coop for breaking a plate, lashed until the blood was let for dirting the one good shoes, school days with nose pressed up against the window of a whites-only ballet studio, built for those Kingston girls from British Isles, exiled among forgotten faces of Akan, Ashanti, Twi. And she did not understand that them is we. Even when chestnut hues and freckles make their way into our skin, we too have oldest world kin, you know. Well, Keisha, it's a white man's world. We just live in it. I hear you, Mom. I love you for what you endured to bring me here. But I create worlds. It is my job to dream. Imagine for those bred to be blind. Love is my palette, I fear no man. I use this body like a chisel, a shovel, a machete, and I will never stop until I am the biggest dream I can imagine, because the prescience wasn't beat out of me, and I've had enough food and books and the anonymity of a big city to remember what you have been forced to forget.
When I read that poem, I was like, wait, how do you know my mother? It was everything about growing up Caribbean in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Tell me about writing this poem.
It's just, I just had to say it. You can relate to it. I mean, it's just that people find coping mechanisms for whatever context they find themselves in. If you think about it, it's just like we show up in this world and there's a story, it's already prepared for us, and we jump in. And, my mom grew up in the 50s and 60s, and Jamaica was still a colony, and these were her experiences she always talked about. And so her approach was really like, I love you, I'm going to prepare you for life, but I'm not going to get my hopes up about certain things because all my life, this is what I've seen. And, I'm an American kid. I mean, I was born in Jamaica, but I grew up here. And, our culture instills this idea that you can be anything, So that was butting up against, because, I don't think Jamaicans and other people of former colonies believe that I can be anything. There's not necessarily a path. To upward mobility, really. I mean, it's not, it happens, but it's not defined. But here in this country, we emphasize there's a path, and you believe it. And I'm not saying it's not true, but it's just more difficult than you understand. And I think my mother's attempts to soften the blow of disappointment, like, it was always, not said in this way, but it was always like, don't forget you're black, don't forget you're black. But it was not said in that way, And I found it, teenager, you're like, ugh, you know, oh God, you're so negative,
Yeah.
you know. But I appreciate. I have my own children now, and I appreciate what she was trying to tell me.
Yeah.
And I appreciate what she went through, and however she coped with that.
Yeah.
You know. And so but I have to keep myself up. I cannot.
Yeah.
I can't just surrender. And, you know.
I love that you call it a coping mechanism, right? And you're like putting it in this intellectual context instead of saying, oh, she's just angry, because I experienced the same thing with my mother, and all these are just coping strategies because they don't know, really, they weren't given the tools, right? So I just love that this poem just spoke to everything about me. So let's talk about your work so I have many questions, but tell me about writing this collection. Why did you write this collection?
So I'm always writing. As you know, I work a full-time job. I have a whole bunch of interests, and as a poet, I read all over the place. So the only way I can write is to write whenever I have availability. So I was just always writing, and at some point, I step back and I try to assess what I have. And 2 books came out of it, because I have another book coming out this year called A Spell for Living, which won a contest.
Oh, I love that name.
Yeah, so I'll tell you more about that. That incorporates the visual art.
Yeah.
So I stepped back and I looked at what I was writing about, and this idea that everything's necessary and coping, and like how do we get through the difficult things. That is what jumped out at me, and all the poems that fit into that narrative thread is what I pulled out and I put into this collection.
Yeah.
Because it's really a conversation with me. It's a conversation with my ancestors, and I do believe their presence is real, you know. And that's just a cultural memory thing. And this is a conversation, and what, you know, me shouting out like, why is this happening to me? Everybody's why do things happen? What came back to me was like, it's necessary. You're going through a process of growth.
Oh, don't tell me that.
I know. But like, so the thing was like, it's necessary for your growth, and it's just like how you use it. You know, how are you going to use it? Because these things happen. You're in the world. Yeah. There's not one person who doesn't experience those ups and downs. There's not one person. So it's like, how are you going to use it? You know. So I was like, I try to use it in a productive way. You know, so I can be happy and fulfilled and learn something. And, you know. Yeah.
How do you, like? I'm so, you know, I've known you for all this time, and you've just maintained this life as an artist, and you're a mom, and you work full time, and you're a wife, and you're a person. Yeah. How do you balance all of those things?
I'm a little crazy now. I have to, for my mental health. Like, I have to be myself. Yeah. But I have chosen to bring kids. It's my choice. I'm very happy with that choice. So I'm okay with things taking longer, because they're only young ones. So how do I do that, man? It's just like I said, it's like the moments. It's like whenever I have quiet moments, I honor whatever is coming through as inspiration, and I do something. I wish I could be this good with exercise, physical exercise, because that's where I lag, because I use every free moment, you know. So if I'm out, you know, on dropping my daughter at school, I may, after I drop her off, I may sit in a coffee shop for 30 minutes. I may read the news, but more than likely I'm drawing while I'm listening to music, or while I'm listening to the news or something, or I'm writing something, you know. So even just a sentence, and then I build on it. Yeah. Because if I don't do that, then I feel like I'm on this like hamster wheel where I just like go to work and come home and sleep and go to, and I can't. I enjoy my work. I always tell artists, do not poo-poo like what you do to make a living, because you're gaining other skills. Yeah. And those places teach you a lot about humanity. Yeah. You know, if you're just in your room writing, you're just relying on like your imagination, that's fine. But I find the interaction just with people on a daily basis, it inspires so many ideas. Yeah.
So why don't you read an excerpt of Everything is Necessary?
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Everything is necessary. required to be. Is just is. How you see is up to you. Are you pink and green caladium, a field of hearts in bloom, bowing beneath the rust gold gown of a redwood tree? Or are you misery, a spirit cemented to the stone walls of its temple, crumbling and crashing onto every mirror that enters, forgetting that all you are is we, a 1,000-petal flower rocking in the breeze called time. The symphony of lives is merely 1 second, 1 breath to the great mind dreaming these colors and every shape that blooms in the galaxies. Your mission is to see. Know that this is one cradle, and we are an infant with infinite eyes. We are dancing droplets fallen from the sky that speaks everything into a whirlpool, a black spool of sound that moves us like the ecstasy of lovers becoming one body, one melody. You are to sing until you have no more breath. Enjoy this vantage point now. The only death is insisting that your eyes stay shut. See clearly before time's up.
Thank you so much, Keisha. Thank you for tuning in to Brown Girl Book Lover. Please check out her book.
Thank you.